Hello, good people. Richard here. It's a Saturday. I'm hoping you're having a good weekend, wherever you are. Greetings from Nairobi once again. And I'm always happy, as usual, to be back to chatting with you, my lovely community. So today I want to talk about something real quick. I think I did a video a day or two ago where I spoke about what is the right pace, right, in life journey, and I think I got, some good feedback. I don't know if I think there's a comment from shout out from my friend Peter, where he's, I think he was saying that, to him, pace, the right pace will all depend on the circumstances, right? Where you are in life, and what your goals are, what you're chasing, and how things are presenting themselves. But also, something actually came to mind that he formed a follow-up, discussion today, and it's actually it's more about a pacemaker, and again, shout out my friend Mr. M. Noah. I think I love doing traveling, where as and when doing especially long distance sort of drives, out of town. So usually, I find myself driving even across borders and things like that. So but there's a time when we're discussing, I think many years ago, we're doing a road trip to Nairobi to Kampala, and this friend of mine said, you know what, when you're doing those 10-hour plus sort of like long drives, you actually need to find a pacemaker, right? And so just keep them into at arm's length. Is that, I don't know if that's the right word, but ideally ensure that you identify a pacemaker, especially if, let's say, if you're on the road trying to get to a destination at a certain time frame, and you need to have, there are people usually who are driving very fast, for especially if you do like, for example, the Nairobi Kampala Kigali route, which I think is called the Great African Highway. I believe. I think it goes all the way. It starts all the way from South Africa, all the way to Central African Republic. I believe, or DRC or thereabout. So it's a very and it can also take you to Ethiopia and all these other countries around the East Southern African, I think, corridor. Now, for example, for the Nairobi, Kampala, Kigali routes, you'll find that there'll be people, especially from Nairobi, Mombasa, that is the port, the Kenyan port, either the delivering cars, new cars from the port of Mombasa, let's say, to Kampala. And those guys, the way it works for them is they get paid on how many cars they can turn around in what short of period. Obviously, I think any normal driver, it definitely, some people, I think, push it within a day, because on average, I think it will take you about 18, I believe, between I think 16 to 18 hours from Mombasa to Kampala. That is if, like, you are like on it, right? But if you factor in the stopovers, it could be between 18 or 16 to 24. So, but some of these guys really push it. They have like an hour stopovers and they keep going. So normally, they will usually be good pacemakers for you on the road, because then as long as you're able to see them, because they will know where the bumps are, they will know where the bad potholes are, they will know where they will be able to help you determine the speed, because sometimes you wouldn't be able to know what the speed limits in certain areas are, or where you'd expect checkups. So because also you don't want to find yourself breaking traffic rules and things like that. So I picked that, and for quite some time I was following these pacemakers, and you would find where if I'm doing it on my own, I'll take, let's say, what, 10 hours, 14, normally I would take 14 to 18 hours just from Nairobi to Kampala. If you have a pacemaker, they push you find yourself covering that distance, in 4 hours less, because I think it comes with, you get motivated, it pushes you to meet your optimum limits, and eventually I think you get some form of motivation and competitiveness, right? It just becomes something you enjoy. It sort of like becomes like a game, a game of chess. Now, but relating this as well to the recent jogging experiences, my re-energized, exercise sort of channel. Even equally to long drives would be, you'd find people, especially when you're doing the jogging long tracks, you'll find that there are people who are faster than you. They have because maybe some of these are probably even sports people, like professionals. They are able to, they have a better pace. In fact they have better stamina than you. They're able to keep a longer pace, for lack of better words, than you would. And by and large, that you find that or you may not necessarily move at their speed, right? Not probably necessarily. However, you will find that you'll be able, if you keep them within an eye's distance, right? Assuming you can't get so close to them, you'll find yourself getting faster, clocking your time faster, achieving a longer distance in a shorter period of time, without necessarily feeling as tired as you'd be doing it on your own. And it has really, really worked for me a lot of times, because then, because actually what I do is when I'm feeling especially struggling to gang up the energy and all that, and then there'll be always people who are pacing you, like, so what I do is I normally catch up to their speed, but just stay within arm's length. And I actually, I was thinking, man, like, what does that tell me about life, right? And it came out very clear to me that I think in life, if you're able to identify, ask yourself, right, whether it's a specific goal, it could be, again, business goal, it could be a personal goal, it could be an academic goal, it could be a financial goal in particular. So the question is, have you identified a pacemaker? Or can you identify, are there people within within that space, right, that you could relate, you could see and identify as pacemakers, or you would call them motivators. In other cases, they would be mentors, right? And you are able, if you identify, because there will always be someone, right, pursuing a similar or different but maybe even better goal, right? Or there will always be someone chasing more or less the same thing in a different way, and perhaps they have they have moved ahead of you, many steps ahead of you. They have learned more. They have made more mistakes. They have accomplished more. They have failed more, and but they're still on that journey, right? But because of what they have achieved and what they have learned through the failures and successes, you learning from them and drawing a pace from them, right? Keeping up with their speed may most certainly leapfrog you into achieving your goals faster than perhaps you would have done when you do it at your own pace, or even you may not necessarily be looking at catching up with their speed, outrunning them. Even actually, you might find that you can outrun them, but you always remember that you don't necessarily have the same goals, right? You may not necessarily have the exact same plans, so you don't want also to risk just outspeeding them for the sake of outspeeding them. But as long as you know your journey, your goals, and you actually have that pacemaker, right? In fact, in some cases, they are aware that they're setting pace for you. I mean, if you look at, for instance, runners, professional runners, in any race, they would have pacemakers, and actually, for the most part, especially for that level, the pro sort of level, these pacemakers are there specifically for that reason, right? Because they are designed to come in and help the main character, that is the main athlete, be able to keep within a range, and then at some point you'll see closer to the finishing line, or a distance where they have that is within their plan, you'll find that this particular the main character will then just take off. And in other cases, you'll find that the pacemakers will just start at certain stages, branching off, because then now they are wearing the main character, the main sports athlete, to be aware that it's time for you to take off. But that is, of course, in particularly in sports, right? But that doesn't mean that principle cannot necessarily be applied in business, in life, So the point is, at what point, again, do you recognize that now it's time for me to take off? The speed, the pace at which the pacemaker has done their part, right? Now I need to switch on, or if the without the awareness, like I said, in most cases they may not be aware, but you would actually be able to take a positive advantage of the situation, right? You can always find silently. Look around your environment, whether it's your life goals, whether it's your work goals, whether it's financial goals, whatever it is, health goals. Identify, people or friends or not friends, people within your space, people that you've seen that actually sort of seem to be pursuing more or less the same goal, maybe higher, but they're actually moving at a faster pace. Use them to your advantage in a way that, of course, I'm not saying don't come out, just a user. They don't actually really sometimes have to know, but the question is what you know, right? Identify the pacemakers in your life. Go with that pace, knowing that you're having different traces in a way with different goals, but you're sort of aiming generally for the same goal, right? Not necessarily the exact same goal, but let's say maybe you want to be you want to get to a healthy lifestyle, they could pursue the same goal, but it could mean your body type is different, your weight goals are different, your whatever, BMI, anything you can go deep is different. However, the overall objective is for both of you to get healthy, right? So these guys might be they have already hit fitness, their body is has peaked, yours maybe is just starting. However, they can help you, push you, because I think what I've learned is once you switch on and have allow yourself to be guided by a pacemaker, if you've identified one, what that will do to you would be, it will push you to move at a pace that is not necessarily yours, but within the range of your goals and within the range of your speed, and you will keep up. Otherwise, sometimes it might be difficult to do it alone. Of course, the other version of doing it with the knowledge of the pacemaker, sometimes this could be coaches, right? That comes with a cost. Sometimes this could be mentors. Of course, may not come with a cost, but you definitely have a time cost. Other times this could be your friends. Your friends, if they may think you actually manipulating your friendship, they could be your loved ones. They may actually see it the wrong way. However, there's no harm if you find a relationship, a partner inspiring, and there's a lot you need to learn from them. You can always let them know. Or if you find a business a colleague, or someone, if let's say you're in a tech space or legal space, or and then there's someone who has achieved that milestone, there's no harm in telling them, you inspire me. I have a lot to learn from you, and how do you do this? At the same time, you can just observe, from a distance, because see what they're doing. Try to make. Of course, it's easier when you talk to them, because then they might give you more advice in the way they're approaching it. The challenges they have, so more so that'd be more of the detailed outlook. So yeah, I thought I didn't have to wait, because I guess this was also related to the pace in life. So I think that as you try to find the right pace of your life journey, identifying a pacemaker and keeping them in sight would be very critical to achieving your life goals, your life objectives, whatever it is that you're pursuing in life, faster, even better, more competitively, more sustainably. Maybe you would even avoid a lot of losses, because then you learn from the mistakes that this person, he or she has gone through. You learn from their failings, you learn from their successes. You don't have to go through that as well. I mean, you would have an opportunity that someone else out there has had the experience, right? So why would you worry, or why would you want to have to put yourself in a position where you have to reinvent the wheel, So having said that, I think for me it's a no-brainer, if I'm being very honest, to find a pacemaker and keep them in sight. Very, very important. You don't necessarily have to run at the exact same speed, and they could be 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters apart, right? But as long as you can see them, you can keep them in sight. Just think of you jogging or driving, and that person whose pace is a motivating factor is always in sight, right? That means as long as they're in sight, you will either be able to catch up with them, go past them, or at least get to they will lead you to the finishing line at all different paces. However, if you don't keep them in sight, there's a very high chance that you might actually meander off, end up in the den, like I said in the other video, or lose direction, or lose time in trying to figure out things in between. But you might hit potholes, you might find a lot of ditches, you probably will be breaking traffic rules if you're on a highway. You will probably take the wrong turns if you're running in a forest. So why not learn from the pacemakers? And again, there's a caveat though. What if the pacemakers are equally wrong? So you find yourself just blindly following this pacemaker. So, and I'm not saying don't do that. Of course, this is on the presumption that you have your own goals, but you have identified and you are alert. Because they could forget the traffic signs. They could forget the potholes, or the road could have been renovated just the other day, all right, a couple of hours earlier. Or if it's a forest, that the monkey could have just broken the signpost and maybe switched pointing right instead of left just 2 minutes ago. So I'm not saying don't be mindful, but generally be open and follow the pace, but do not blindly follow the pace, right? Just the pacemaker. Just have the back of your mind, your goals, where you want to be. Just let this pacemaker help you speed. So, having said that, as always, it's usually it's never a boring time. I mean, being here, it's always a good motivation for me. It's weird, but I always say I'm very equally inspired, by doing these videos myself. It doesn't matter how tired. I can always find that bit of moment to just share, and as and when things come. So once again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It's all about sharing experiences and how to relate to life, and in my particular case, as and when they happen to me, and what I make them in relation to life, in the hope that someone out there, me being one of those, will pick a lesson or be reminded and relate to example. Maybe it's happening now, maybe it's happening in the future, or it has happened in the past. And what do we learn from those sort of experience, and how do we relate? So I'll be happy to hear any feedback. Let's keep sharing, and there's no harm, there's no monopoly of knowledge. Again, I'll close it up here for today. You just remember, identify a pacemaker in your life journey and keep them in sight, and always keep safe, keep strong, and all shall be well. Greetings from Nairobi. Kwaheri, bye for now. Mungu abariki. God bless you. Mungu abariki Africa. God bless Africa. Reach out. Peace.